The warmth isn't going to last much longer, folks. We've got a couple more days where some of you can still soak in those milder temperatures. But then, bam, it's all about to flip. Fall is about to hit us full force, and not with a gentle breeze either. We're talking a full-on cold blast. One of those sweeping changes that grabs the whole country by the shoulders and says, "Wake up, summer is done." And this isn't just a quick chill. Nope. As we roll into next week, models are hinting at something even bigger. An Arctic blast, the kind of system that doesn't just cool you down. It rewrites the landscape. It could bring heavy snow, and depending on how things shake out with this system we're watching, Priscilla, there's potential for feet of snow in the Rockies and beyond. The key is timing. Cold air diving south, just as a Pacific and tropical moisture gets pulled in. That's when snow lovers rejoice, and travelers start bracing for chaos. But hey, it's not just the cold we're watching. The tropics are still alive, and we've got Invest 95L out there twisting in the Atlantic. Right now, the models want to turn it north, maybe sparing the Caribbean from a direct hit. But when you're dealing with tropical energy, nothing is written in stone. I'll keep you updated because this thing still has the potential to spin into something serious. Now here's the part where I've got to cut through the noise. You've been hearing people talk about some huge heat wave coming. I know, I've seen the headlines too. But let me be straight with you. It's not what it looks like. Some folks love big thumbnails and scary words, but the data tells a different story. And the data doesn't lie. What we're actually seeing is nothing close to oppressive heat. In fact, as I'm talking to you right now, the National Weather Service already has freeze warnings, frost advisories, and even winter storm warnings posted. That doesn't exactly sound like the return of summer, does it? Take Montana, Wyoming, the Rockies. Temperatures are dropping into the 20s in higher elevations. Meanwhile, across the east, yeah, it might look warmer compared to average, but we're talking 60s, maybe low 70s. Not 90s. Not triple digits. Just milder. That's the difference between the reality and the hype. And let me walk you through this pattern shift. First, the Arctic Oscillation is tanking, which opens the door for that cold Canadian air to spill south. Then, as the GFS and the Euromodels both show, we get not just one, but possibly multiple waves of cold crashing in through mid-October. That means the Rockies could be looking at heavy snowstorms, ski resorts smiling, and the central and eastern US getting a real taste of November in October. Think about it. Daytime highs in the 40s and 50s spreading south, 20s and 30s in the Rockies, with wind chills dropping into the teens. Even places used to the heat, like Texas and the Gulf Coast, will feel that crisp bite by the end of the week. Now don't get me wrong. There will be warmth in pockets. The Southwest might still flirt with the 80s and 90s under that stubborn high-pressure ridge. But nationally, this is a cold story. A dramatic one. A fall reset that's been building for weeks, and now it's about to arrive. And circling back to the tropics, Invest 95L could very well spin into Tropical Storm Jerry as it approaches the Lesser Antilles. But the key is that sharp turn north, thanks to strong high pressure steering it away. Most signs point to it bending out into the Atlantic, perhaps even becoming a hurricane, but not a landfall threat. Meanwhile, another brewing system in the Central American gyre could be the one to watch for late October. That's the pattern we're heading into. Cold in the US, while the tropics refuse to go quietly. Let's start with what's happening right now. Honestly, it's almost eerie how quiet it's been for early October. Across much of the country this morning, we've got a cold front stretched from Wisconsin all the way back through central Kansas. It's been throwing up some clouds, maybe a few light showers, nothing too major yet. But that's the leading edge of change. Winds are starting to pick up around the Great Lakes, and you can already feel that shift in the air across the Midwest. Out west, it's gorgeous. Calm, clear skies. Textbook fall beauty. Down in the southeast, a few pop-up thunderstorms over Florida. But again, overall, still quiet. Maybe too quiet, but this peace won't last. Because right behind it, the atmosphere is flipping the switch. A strong, cold front is digging in, sweeping eastward through the Midwest and northern plains, and it's being driven by some serious energy in the upper levels. That jet stream pattern is shifting fast. Right now, there's high pressure camped out along the east coast, keeping things warm and dry for the moment. But way out west, we've got a low pressure system sitting near California, and it's tugging on that jet, bending it just enough to send cold, dense air cascading down from Canada. That's the setup for the next few days. Cold air blasting south, colliding with lingering warmth, and it's going to spark a major temperature swing. As we move into Wednesday and Thursday, things start to evolve again. The jet stream will lift slightly, with a new low developing off Oregon and Washington while high pressure rebuilds over Texas. That's going to flatten out the pattern just enough to allow warmth to surge back north by late week. And get this, we could be talking about record-breaking warmth returning to the northern plains and Midwest. Some of these spots already broke October records last weekend, and it's not done yet. But next weekend, that's when the atmosphere decides to shake things up again. Models are hinting at a deep trough, dropping into the Pacific Northwest. A classic setup for a major cooldown. I'm seeing signals for temperatures well below normal along the west coast by next weekend, possibly even bringing snow back to the Rockies. Meanwhile, farther east, that same setup will pull warm, southern winds up across the plains and Midwest. A perfect recipe for another wave of unusually hot weather. The contrast will be extreme. Now here's where things start to get really interesting. The GFS model, and a few others, are teasing the idea of a low-pressure system forming just off the east coast around Saturday or Sunday. If that actually happens, it could turn into a tropical system right off the southeast coast. We're talking possibly near the Carolinas or northeast of Florida. Nothing is guaranteed yet, but it's a setup I've seen before that can get out of hand quickly. Tropical storm formation is absolutely on the table if the timing lines up with that upper-level trough dipping south. So yeah, East Coast folks, stay alert. Now let's talk temperatures. Right now, that cold front is cutting through from Wisconsin down into Texas, and behind it, the cooler air is spilling south fast. It's not brutally cold, but compared to the last few days, you'll feel the difference. By Wednesday and Thursday, another pocket of cold air slides into New England. We could see temperatures dropping 10 to 20 degrees there. Then, by Thursday and Friday, that ridge starts building again, flooding the plains and Midwest with above-average warmth. By the weekend, it's downright toasty again, especially across central Canada and the northern US. That's when the next round of record highs could challenge the books once again. But as that next trough deepens out west, we'll see a strong push of cold air behind it, bringing much cooler conditions to the Pacific Northwest. And even the potential for some early-season snow across higher elevations. If that East Coast system forms, it'll help drag down cooler air into Florida, and parts of the Mid-Atlantic next week too. That would also mean a break from the sticky humidity and scattered storms we've had for months. Something we haven't seen much of since summer refused to leave. Take a look at today's highs. Nebraska barely touching the 50s, while just a few hundred miles south in Kansas City and Oklahoma, we're pushing the 90s. That's how sharp this front is. If this were winter, we'd be talking about a major snowstorm setup. Thankfully, it's early October, so we just get the dramatic temperature swings without the ice. For now. Tomorrow doesn't change a whole lot. Still that north-south divide, but warmth will rebound across the upper Midwest. Then by midweek, that chill slides all the way down into Georgia and the Carolinas, with highs dipping into the 60s and 70s. We'll probably see more freeze warnings popping up across the Northeast by late week. Some areas already had them last week, and it looks like round 2 is on the way. Then, just as quick, that warmth comes roaring, back into the plains over the weekend and early next week. As for rain, scattered showers, and storms are going to dot the map, from the Great Lakes down to Texas and along the Gulf. Coast today and tomorrow, Nothing widespread or severe, but definitely enough to keep you on your toes. Midweek high pressure takes over the Great Lakes and Northeast, drawing things out nicely for a few days. Then we hit Friday and Saturday, and that's when I'll be glued to the satellite feed. Because that's when we could see that tropical development off the East Coast. The GFS is showing signs of a low spinning up near Florida, or the Carolinas, maybe late Saturday into Sunday. What's wild is that, as of right now, the National Hurricane Center hasn't even marked an area there yet. But I'm betting that changes soon if models keep trending this way. So, yeah, it's going to be a fascinating week to track. I'll be watching every model update, every satellite loop, and keeping you guys posted as this unfolds.